What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about wild camping in Norway. I had never heard of this term before. I mean, Americans in general, we do not do a lot of camping. We do not get outdoors as much as we should, especially compared to Norway. The more I've learned about Norway and how active Norwegians are, a lot in part to how beautiful and amazing the terrain and geography of Norway is. It's very helpful to have that to make you feel like you want to go explore and take part in the outdoors. A lot of Americans don't feel that way, and also just as a culture, we seem to just not be as active. So, this is something I don't know much about camping, but I didn't know anything about wild camping, so I had to look this up. Wild camping is camping anywhere outside of a recognized campsite. Okay, so Americans sometimes go camping. I've been camping a few times. Americans, I have never heard of Americans going wild camping. This is incredibly unusual in America, very rare. We're almost always on a campsite in the safe, like it's been carefully chosen, the campsite, it's very safe, it's by the road, it's all prepared. We don't go out into the middle of nowhere and go camping at all. So, wild camping, kind of like its name, it's a bit wild for Americans. It could be pitching your tent in the mountainside in preparation of a sunrise, stringing up your hammock in the woods, or a weekend backpacking bivvy trip. Okay, wild camping. So is wild camping somewhat common in Norway to go off the beaten path and explore and camp in kind of random spots? It's very fun. It's very cool. Very adventurous, honestly. Very Norwegian sounding, wild camping. And I also found this Reddit discussion where people were asking Norwegians, is wild camping safe? Which is exactly a question that comes to my mind. Maybe it's the American in me, but the idea of going camping in the middle of nowhere that no one's ever explored seems scary to me and to most Americans, and that's honestly just because we don't get out much. So I wanted to know what Norwegians thought about wild camping. So let's look at some of these replies. A 6-year-old girl was the last victim of a wolf attack in Norway, but that happened in December 28th, 1800, 200 years ago. Okay, I was a little concerned that the first reply was, oh yeah, a little girl got eaten by a wolf, but it was hundreds of years ago. That's kind of my fear, is that you go exploring in the middle of nowhere and camping, and animals are going to come inspect your stuff. They're going to come bother you and maybe attack you. That's kind of what you hear about on TV and stuff. The last victim of a bear was 14-year-old boy herding sheep, but that was in September 1906. I'm not counting polar bear attacks in Svalbard. Oh my gosh, I just learned about Svalbard and how there's a serious danger of polar bear attacks. So basically, if you're in regular mainland Norway, you're not going to have a huge probability of being attacked by animals. I'm kind of surprised. Why is that not even a threat? If you're going out in the middle of nowhere, I'd be nervous. The most dangerous animal in Norway to yourself is yourself. Okay. Rallarvegen is safe. Just take it easy on your bike. Rallarvegen. I'm going to have to look that up. I don't know what that is. Cycle through history. It's a bicycling path in Norway? 100-year-old man built a road. Wow. Oh, cool. I'm going to have to look at that more at some point. Okay. Rallarvegen. I have a direct ancestor who was mauled by a bear in the 1800s. She survived? This is not giving me a lot of confidence. I don't know. Don't worry. Go wild camping. No one's been eaten for 100 years. It's like, what? Huh? That's what I think. Just be aware that some animals scream at night. animals scream at night? And it's just normal? Or I almost pissed myself when a deer started screaming close to my tent at 3 a.m. Foxes are also notorious for screams that resemble a woman being murdered? Foxes and deer screaming? Okay. Okay, I don't know about all this. At least they're not attacking you. But I didn't know you had to worry about animals screaming. That's freaking scary. Other than that, you'll be fine. Most of our wild animals will avoid you like the plague. Okay. So they'll avoid you. Okay. That sounds scary as hell. Yeah. I had a fox scream right next to my tent. Nearly had a heart attack. Screaming? Animals screaming. I cannot get over that. Okay. That would. If that happened to an American and they'd never experienced that before and never knew about it, that would scar them for life. I'm glad I know now. I'm actually glad that I know that that's possible. Oh my gosh. As long as you don't disturb the trolls, you will be fine. Never eat mushrooms in Scandinavia, even if they look like the ones from your home. Yeah, I would not be eating random plants, but that's good advice. If you're going, this is good advice if you're going wild camping as an American or foreigner. It's good to know. The animals might scream, and don't eat the mushrooms. Oh my, and avoid the trolls. Avoid the trolls. Car accident with moose on your way to the hike is probably the biggest animal risk in Scandinavia. Oh, you're more likely to have a car accident with a moose. That still sounds crazy because there's no moose in America. I've never seen one in real life. That would be terrifying. I know they're enormous. They can like mess up your car, but you're more likely to get hurt on the way to the hike rather than while you're camped out somewhere. You know, Americans also have a fear of going camping and being disturbed by other Americans, like by humans, bothering them in the middle of the night and being weird. But I think in Norway, Norwegians are much more like trusting of each other and more respectful. So Norwegians aren't really scared of other humans coming and bothering them or stealing their stuff or anything like that, threatening them in the middle of nowhere. That's what Americans are scared of. It's honestly just a different, totally different culture, a different hiking culture. Like, honestly, that's what I've noticed. Nothing to be afraid of. There are restrictions on open fires during the summer. Make sure you're equipped to leave no trace. There is an alarming prevalence of seeing toilet paper in places these days. Okay, so you're allowed to go. I know there is a law that you're allowed to hike and explore basically anywhere in Norway, but you have to make sure you leave it how you found it. That makes sense. That actually makes a ton of sense. That's how it should be, isn't it? Um However, tourist attractions and routes will be very popular thanks to social media. So if you're looking to experience peace and quiet, I would plan your own route. Oh man. As a result, some of the popular places also try to deter camping. Okay, okay. Honestly, I might feel more comfortable if there were a lot of people around. Like a lot of campsites would honestly make me feel a little more safe than being in the middle of nowhere. Wild camping in Norway is totally safe, animals wise. Huh. Most Norwegians are not very concerned about the animals. And guess that just comes with experience. The experience of living in Norway, camping in Norway, and knowing that animals are not going to bug you. I guess when you're American and you've never done it before, you worry about stuff like that because you don't know any better. But I have a irrational fear of animals coming and biting me if I was wild camping. Be aware that weather is unpredictable in the mountains and nights can be very cold. Right, dress accordingly. Be prepared. That's just a good tip for camping. Be prepared. As some have stated, wolves and bears are not a problem. Be careful about the moose. They can attack unprovoked. If they have a calf especially. The moose. So beware of the moose. Oh, okay. Bring plastic bags, pick up your trash, and have fun. That's a good one for Americans. Clean up after yourselves. Americans need to be reminded of that. Okay. The moose. The most dangerous animal in Scandinavia. What is this? What's the most dangerous animal? The tick. Oh my gosh, I hate ticks. Oh, are there a bunch of ticks in Norway as well in the wilderness? I bet. Yeah, that's a big, big concern in America. That's the only thing I can relate to is the hating ticks. Oh my gosh, I hate ticks. Everyone hates ticks. You can get Lyme disease, all that stuff. Wow. Ah, the ticks. Just another thing to be afraid of. Dang it. You can camp wherever you want if you are over 300 meters from the nearest inhabited building. Okay, so you can camp where, yeah, that's different than America too. In America, you gotta be really careful you're not on anyone's property, or else they could like come at you with like a gun or a weapon and demand you leave, and that's just an uncomfortable situation. In Norway, it's expected that you can explore and camp. You just have to respect people's where they the buildings, where they live physically, and be 300 meters away. Okay. The wildlife is not an issue. That's what everyone keeps saying. That the wildlife is not an issue. I don't believe it. Unless you're in Svalbard, polar bears will F you up. Okay. Okay. Do not, for the life of you, camp in public toilets. There's a monster? The Dradraugen will pull you down the sewer pipe. Okay, that's good advice. And also, I don't know why anyone would want to camp on a public toilet. Ugh. It's not the bear or wolves, it's the moose that's the most dangerous animal. I would rather face a bear than a moose. Oh my gosh. Okay, the moose. Stay on the trails, keep away from the trolls. Don't worry, in summer, they keep the lights on all night. That's true. If you're in the right place in Norway during the summer, it'll just be bright all the time. That would really not make it so scary for Americans, actually. It'd make it difficult to fall asleep, though. Oh my gosh, just bright out all the time? Okay. Short answer is no, not at all. Okay, most Norwegians say that wild camping is pretty safe, but I think that is part of the culture, part of growing up doing it. Makes it feel a lot more confident in it and safe. There are dangers. Here is a list. Weather, people poorly equipped because of bad weather, right? Not doing enough research on the hike, so you're under geared. Yeah, poorly equipped. Yeah, that's a big one. That's one that you have control over, too. You just have to make sure you're well equipped. Like, don't come underprepared. Yeah. Animals. Watch out for some animals, like moose, musk. What is a musk? Musk? Is that an animal? Animal? It's a deer? Is it a type of deer? Is this a musk? Wait, it has big teeth. What on earth is this? A musk deer? It has fangs. What? Okay, and bears. They're normally not dangerous, but steer clear of them. Yeah, I would. Steer clear. There's snakes one snake that's venomous. Oh man. And there's the ticks. Ticks. Get the tick shot. Oh, you can get a shot. Oh, you can get a shot for ticks so you don't get diseases. That's probably good advice because you can't really avoid getting ticks if you're on the ground, like, and going through the rough in the forest or anything. It's inevitable. Wow, yeah, ticks. Oh my. Don't drink glacier water. Boil it first, right? Most Americans know not to drink strange water. Um, okay. Don't let the list scare you. Get proper gear. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is helpful stuff. Come prepared. We spend enough tax money on tourist rescue. Oh my gosh, so that there's enough tourists getting in trouble wild camping that there's a Norwegian rescue team just for them. That's good. That's comforting, actually. As long as you don't go camping in Svalbard, you should be okay. Oh my gosh, that's getting mentioned a lot. Apparently, Svalbard is the one place where you really, really can't expect for bears to attack. Wow. Bears and wolves are almost extinct and are shy. Be careful if you encounter a moose, especially a female with a calf. Yeah. Look out for hoghorn, the only venomous snake. Oh my gosh. So there is stuff you need to look out for. It's just not nearly as scary as I thought if you know what you're doing. That's the critical thing here, isn't it, about wild camping? You have to just know what you're doing and avoid the ticks. The ticks. Oh my gosh. I also have found this article about camping in Norway, the guide to Norwegian camping trip. Um, from the Freedom to Roam law. Yeah, the Freedom to Roam law. That's what allows you to explore all of Norway. That's really cool. Are you an outdoor enthusiast? Norway has to be one of the world's top choices. Oh, yeah, you probably run into a ton of tourists camping and hiking in Norway. Probably a lot of foreigners doing that. That's what they go to Norway to do. Huh. Yeah. Um, there's well maintained trails with scenery. Okay, but you can also do wild camping, where you go off the trails, off the beaten path. It does sound exciting, I gotta admit. That does sound cool. Just a little, there's a little more danger, a little more excitement. One of the best aspects of Norway's outdoor life is the proximity of hiking trails to the major cities. Right, there's cool stuff you can hike and explore even by Oslo. Um, but to make the most of outdoor opportunities, staying far away from cities is a must. Oh, while there are some hotels, camping in Norway is cheaper. Oh, you can camp not just to explore and enjoy the outdoors, but it's free, it's cheap. That's I didn't even think about that. Camping can be intimidating for beginners. Exactly. It's very intimidating for beginners. Campsites versus wild camping. Right, campsites now seem like the beginner thing to do, the basic thing. Um, Norway offers everything from mountain lodges and cabins with kitchens and running water through to campsites with various standards of facilities. Right. Americans would definitely opt for the mountain lodges and cabins with kitchens. Maybe the campsites. Maybe. But a lot of Americans like have never wild camped, have never camped. But if you're traveling to Norway, you probably run into a lot more people that are outdoors, that like the outdoors. Staying on a campsite, Norway has dedicated campsites. You can use a tent or motorhome. There's kitchen facilities, bathrooms. Right, the dedicated campsites are just like the easy mode. They have signs. This is what most of American camping is like. There's a sign for camping, dedicated spots. There's already a campsite built, a campfire area. There's stuff to sit on, all that stuff. It's very pre-made. But wild camping. Norway's right to roam law gives anyone the right to access public land. For overnight camping, there are some limitations, but as long as you're respectful of nature, wild camping is a fantastic way to keep the costs down while enjoying the very best. Yes, yes. Just bear in mind that wild camping means few or no facilities. Right, that's the whole point. You're not getting any of those amenities. If you're not an experienced camper, I would advise you choose a campsite. Right. That's how Americans get into trouble. Probably traveling to Norway, thinking that they're just going to go wild camping and that it's going to be easy, even though they've never done it, and then getting in trouble and needing rescued by the Norwegian rescue. Right to roam. The right to roam allows you full access to public land. if you are respectful of nature and leave no trace. Right, that's the important thing that people need to respect. Make sure you leave no trace behind. Oh, look at this. This is cool. Right, this is why you would wild camp. The beauty, the amazing beauty of this. And it actually looks like there's a lot of people camping in the same area. It's not, you don't have to do it in the middle of the woods. In America, when you think of camping, you think of being in the forest, in the woods, because we don't have lots of mountains or amazing open lakes and fjords and stuff like that. We don't have that. So most camping is in the woods. But now I see a lot of Norwegian camping, even wild camping, you can be out in the open, which I didn't even think about. That makes it very beautiful and honestly a lot more comforting in a way. Huh. Wow. Okay. You must stay at least 150 meters from private property, such as houses, cabins, campgrounds. Right, right. You can't stay in the same place for more than one night. Okay, okay. Foraging for berries and mushrooms is permitted, but you better be sure. You better know what you're doing. Okay. There's specific rules on cloudberries in Norway. Huh. Check whether you can build a fire in the area, and it must be fully extinguished. Okay. So there is like specific rules you have to be aware of, or you could be breaking the law if you do things wrong. If you leave behind a mess and light fires anywhere, or if you're too close to private areas, you could get in trouble. Okay, and that's important to know. It's important to know for the camping. Camping in a motorhome, an RV, yeah, that's what most Americans do as well. Is like putting down a motorhome or an RV and living inside that, which is basically like living inside of a tiny house. It's not really camping, is it? But that's what most Americans think of when they go camping. It's just a totally different idea. It's a totally different culture. What Americans think of camping and what Norwegians think of camping. But this has given me a much, much better idea of the differences. And like I said, I had not even heard of wild camping before today until I looked it up, basically. But this is very, very entertaining to me. Very interesting stuff. It's basically just like showing me how much more experienced and outdoors Norwegians are as a culture compared to America, who Americans don't know the first thing about hiking and camping, I gotta be honest. So this is very enjoyable for me to learn about, and how different it is fascinating, and it seems like a beautiful, amazing like activity to do. You just got to know what you're doing. But there's not much. I was scared of like the animals and being outdoors, and apparently that's not what I should be scared of. Like, just make sure you bring the correct things to survive and the proper things for the weather, and make sure you're not breaking any rules. That's the most important things, actually, which is good to know. Very good. So this was good. I enjoyed this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway or Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.